Cooper. Cooper with a great chance. Cooper must make it four. He does.
There was so much hope ahead of this game after last weekend's victory against Hibs, which put us in a driving seat. But it's now 9 points dropped against St Mirren, and we've only taken 4 points from a possible 33 against them in recent times. We've not won a league game in Paisley since 2018. It's our 8th defeat away from Pittodrie this season. Man drawn with a winner on the hour. And it means this, that unfortunately, we have lost our momentum to try and get to third place. With Hibs winning yesterday, they go 3 points clear of us. They are now very much in the driving seat, but we've still got 3 games to go. Next up, we go to Glasgow. We play Rangers. It's huge. Again. Hi everybody, how you doing? A very warm welcome to Ali Beg ABTV this Sunday night. This is the review show. This is where you get your chance to come on and tell me what you thought of yesterday's defeat against St Mirren. I was so encouraged by the first 20 minutes, and I really thought we were going to come away with something from this game. We had the disallowed goal, and then we fell off a cliff. What happened? What happened? That type of performance is as baffling as they come. And what's becoming a real concern is that we simply cannot play against teams who use a tactic of a low block. We just can't play against it. We have no creativity. We have no plan B. We have nobody to unlock the door. And it's becoming a real problem. And we all know this is a 3-year project for Yimmy. We get that, we understand that, and progress has been made. But he needs to understand quickly in the Scottish game that when teams play a low block, we have to somehow find a way through. And there's been too many occasions this season where we simply have not been able to do that. I tipped my hat to St Mirren yesterday because I thought they defended stoutly. I thought they got their tactics absolutely spot on, and they hit us with a sucker punch, as they always do. We have a brand new item for you on the show. Now, I told you that we were going to try and continue to make improvements here on Ali Beg ABTV going forward, and I always like to use the split as a means to experiment ahead of a new season. So tonight, I am going to introduce to you a former Class 1 and Class 2 Scottish referee, a guy called Neil Waters. And Neil has very kindly offered his expert opinion on referees. So today, what Neil and I have done is we have looked at how the referee performed overall during the game. We've looked at the disallowed goal. We've looked at the foul on Graham Shinney, the alleged foul on Graham Shinney, ahead of their free kick, which led to their goal. And Neil also evaluates the referee's performance overall. Now, what I ask you to do with this item is that you may or you may not agree with Neil. But Neil has been at the highest levels of refereeing in Scottish football. And he wasn't just a referee, he was also a referee's observer for the SFA. So he's an expert. So what I ask of you, as I always do, and I know that you will, is just always be very respectful of his opinion on how the game was officiated. And as I said, you may or you may not disagree with his opinions, but I would just ask you to be respectful of it. And of course, please come on and react to what he says. Absolutely. But as I always say, don't use bad language and keep this place safe. So I'll bring that to you a little bit later. And we're not going to be doing it every single week because obviously, we don't want to sort of distract our thoughts away from the game too much. But whenever there is a controversial refereeing decision, Neil will come on and give us his expert opinion. I'm going to start. I don't like usually doing this, but I'm going to have to because this is a damning indictment of yesterday's game. Just look. Not a single shot on target. We did not force their goalkeeper to make a single save throughout the game. Now, I'm sorry, but that is not acceptable for the stature of our football club. Never, ever should we not be forcing their goalkeeper to make saves. That is not good enough. And it has to be looked at and it has to be addressed. And it has to be addressed first thing in the morning at training. That simply cannot happen to us during a game of professional football, that we have no shots on target and we do not force their goalkeeper to make a save. The team. Okay, I raised an eyebrow at the team yesterday. The manager made 2 changes. One was enforced because unfortunately Alexander Jensen had to miss out due to a thigh injury. The manager is hopeful that he'll be fit for Sunday's game against Rangers. So we'll have to wait and see how he gets on with his rehabilitation during the week. Nicky Devlin came in for him. The other change, which I'm really not sure about, and I wish you to discuss this, but for some reason he played Toppy as a number 10. And I got to be honest, it baffled me. I can't quite get my head around it, I got to be honest. This is what the manager had to say after the game to Rob McLean.
No, we didn't arrive in the way we wanted in the crosses. We arrived sometimes in the half space runs and the last pass, but today it was not really there for us. They also defend some areas good, and that's what we need to improve, the way we attack sometimes. But it's also, we have done a lot of things really good now for the more or less the last month, and it's a difficult away game, but I think like today maybe we have to be an extra push, but we didn't have it today really.
May I remind you that ABTV is brought to you by Saltire Energy, the market leader in drilling equipment rental. But not just that, they offer a wide range of services to the oil and gas industries, with offices based in Aberdeen, the Middle East and Southeast Asia. So what we'll do now is we will do this, what I've called VAR review with Neil. So Neil and I spoke earlier today. We looked at the controversial issues during the game. Have a look, have a listen. This item will obviously evolve. It will develop the more that we do it. But this is just to give you an understanding of what I'm looking to do going forward on the channel. Welcome to the show, Neil Waters. Hi Neil, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm very grateful that you're here. First of all, let's talk about what was the big talking point of the game, which was Aberdeen's goal that was ruled out for handball to Kevin Nisbet. Now, I've been looking at the rules and the regulations this morning, and unfortunately, by the rules of the game, a handball offence is usually called when there is an unnatural position. And if I may just tell you a little bit more, the hand arm is in a position that makes the body unnaturally bigger. For example, an outstretched arm away from the body. It also goes on to say that in recent rule changes, accidental handballs by attackers leading to goals are almost always penalised. First and foremost, was it the correct decision? And was there a foul on Kevin which led him to having this unnatural position?
Yep, thanks, Ali. Yeah, obviously I was at the game in the stands, and if you were to ask all the fans around me, Every single one of them thought it was a goal. I reviewed the footage since the match, and I've got to confess, I think the right decision was brought to by the VAR and the referee in the end that the goal should have been disallowed. Is it unfortunate? Absolutely, it's unfortunate. But Kevin Nisbet's hand is clearly in an unnatural position. The only caveat to get away with that is, was he put in that unnatural position by a foul, or was it part of a falling motion or whatever else, a natural motion of the body that arm would be in that position? Clearly, in his motion, the only thing that could make that hand go out there was a foul. So to allow the goal, we've got to see there's got to be a foul by Gogic on Nisbet. And I've looked at it over and over and over again, and I can't see a clear foul. I can't see a clear foul. Does it look like there's a little bit of coming together between the two? Absolutely, possibly. But for VAR to intervene, it's got to be a clear and obvious error by the referee. And on this occasion, I don't see it being a clear error. I just don't see a clear foul. I see a possible coming together, and that's after 5, 6, 7, 8 looks. But it's not clear for me, Ali. So I think at the end of the day, it's unfortunate for us Aberdeen fans at the time, especially when Ocko scoring his first goal for the club. But I think it was right decision to disallow the goal for handball. I would say it's unfortunate, and I'll go back to Cammy Devlin's second yellow card for Hearts against Aberdeen in the semi-final at Hampden. That was an unfortunate yellow card for Cammy Devlin. Yes, he was walking a tightrope. He had several fouls after his first yellow card, but he goes to clear the ball, swipes to clear it, and just catches Pavara's boot because Pavara's just got there first. Now, we all see to the media, the pundits all saying never a yellow card, shocking decision. Hearts manager saying it, all the fans are saying it, but at the end of the day, he has kicked Pavara's foot in a swiping motion. It's his umpteenth foul of the game. It's got to be a second yellow card. It's unlucky for the player. He didn't try to kick Pavara. He's trying to clear the ball. It's unlucky. It's a yellow card. He's off. And yesterday, for Nisbet, it's unlucky, but it's handball and it's no goal.
I think what was my issue yesterday was, why did it take almost 2 minutes for the VAR to tell the referee to go and have a look at it?
Yep, that was certainly from where I was standing. That was the puzzling part for me, and the angst in the stadium was really high, as you can probably imagine. It was about 2 minutes before the referee was called over the VAR screen, and again the referee was there for about 2 minutes looking at the decision. Now the handball's clear, so that can't be why they're taking the time to review the decision. It must be the foul, but for 4 minutes in total to come to that decision, where me and you have both looked at it, and it took me 20 seconds to decide that there's just not enough there to make a foul. So why is it taking 4 minutes? And I just had a wee side note. It was 4 minutes just for that one decision, yet at the end of the first half, only 2 minutes stoppage time were played.
Yeah.
And again, that riled the fans. So yeah, that was disheartening, and unneeded. The decision should have been got to a lot quicker, which is what VAR is there for.
Yes, exactly. Let's talk about the foul, or the alleged foul, that's on Graham Shinney just before St Mirren got their free kick from what they scored from. So Graham's picked up the ball, he's making headway towards their 18-yard box and goes down under a challenge. In your opinion, should that have been given as a foul?
Absolutely, yes. At the time I felt so, and having reviewed the footage, yes, I thoroughly believe so. Graham Shinney's attacking at speed. He's in a very good area to attack at speed. He's getting put under pressure from behind by Ala Biuso. And yes, I think Shinney started to go down, but I'm absolutely sure that's because of the pressure from the opponent who's actually behind him. And as Shinney goes down, he makes sure he goes down and lands on his back with full force. And yeah, for me, that was a clear free kick. And I think you can see the immediate reaction of Shinney and McGrath at the time. And McGrath's reaction is to then obviously go and do the same thing to Phillips on the touchline. And obviously free kicks given, from which unfortunately we don't defend well and we lose the goal. But yeah, for me, that should have been a free kick. And as a referee, I was always trained, you always advise referees to make the right decisions in the right areas. And that in that attacking area, you've got to weigh up, why would Shinney even want to go down there in the way you've got the guy on his back, landing straight on his back. As a referee, you've got to give a free kick. It looks bad for me. It was a clear free kick for me. So yeah, I think that's a mistake.
Overall, Neil, how would you rate the referee's performance yesterday?
It was a mixed bag for me, Ali, if I'm being honest. I thought the 2 yellow cards Aberdeen got, I mean, around me, the fans were going belly up at the 2 yellow cards for Devlin and Shinney. but they were clear yellow cards. I mean, at the first time, but as soon as the Devon tackle went in, I said, that's a yellow.
Yeah.
It was just a wipeout of a tackle. And yeah, straight yellow cards. And Shinnie, just made the foul on the guy. The guy was just going to break down the wing. It's a clear attacking opportunity for me. Again, yellow card. The three St Mirren yellow cards, again, all 100% correct. So I think from a disciplinary perspective, I thought the referee got everything absolutely spot on. 5 yellow cards was totally just. So quite surprised to hear the St Mirren manager complaining about yellow cards and saying the referee was too quick to give them, because I thought he got them all right. I think the referee had nowhere to go with the 5 yellow cards, so absolutely spot on for me. Okay. That, yes, you got right, but for me, there's one thing he didn't deal with, and that was the time wasting by Hemmings in goal for St Mirren. I counted almost double figures the amount of times that Hemmings was taking far too long to take goal kicks, and the referee pointed to his whistle, to his watch, over and over and over again. And you know, did it change anything? No. Did he continue to time waste? Yes. As a referee in that situation, for me, you've got to maybe do it once or twice to say, look, I've clocked it, stop it. Maybe then have a word with him, and then last resort, yellow card.
Yeah.
But none of that happened, and he was just allowed to do it the whole match. And each time the referee just pointing to his watch saying, look, speed up.
Okay. All right, Neil. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your expertise with us today. It's very much appreciated, and hopefully we'll see you again very soon.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you, Neil. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you so much, Neil. May I also gently remind you that Craig International sponsor ABTV here, where the future of global procurement is very much at the forefront of their business strategy, with 10 offices strategically placed around the world to serve all 4 corners of the globe. Procurement is very much safe in their hands. They have offices in the Middle East, in the Far East, in Australia, on the European continent, in Canada, in America. And if you get an opportunity to check out their brand new website, I suggest that you do, so that you can educate yourself more about the procurement services that they currently offer. You will not be sorry. Thanks to everybody that sponsors me here on Ali Beg ABTV. Okay, let's get you guys on. Now, just to let you know that unfortunately Andrew Budge couldn't be with us tonight. He was tied up at work, so unfortunately Andrew couldn't analyse the show as he normally does, but we should go, normal service should resume next week. So let me know what you think about that item, and if it's something that you'd be more interested in going forward on the show. Right, oh, lots of you on tonight. Good to see as always. Right, just let me sort out that. Let's ping you up to the top. There we go. Okay, let me just pause that as well. Colin Gale was on. He said it was very disappointing that we lost yesterday, and with our next 2 games being the 2 Glasgow clubs and our inferior goal difference, third is unlikely. The last game could be a fight for 4th. Ewan Sutherland says, Ali, you continually call for a 90-minute performance. Well, you got about 25 minutes yesterday. A worrying lack of intensity and effort from some players. We have to fix our away performances. Bruce Struthers says, poor slow performance yesterday and a strange team selection. Dante or Pape should have started. Not sure why Uckles merited a start. Bruce Struthers said, we need to up our intensity big time for the next 2 games against Celtic and Rangers, he came back to say. Graham Gibbs says, St Mirren only play one way. Why have none of our managers come up with an idea to combat their physicality? We started well, then they grew into their physical way of playing, and we wilted. Gordon Keith said, very disappointed yesterday. A draw probably would have been a fair result, but St Mirren have become our bogey team. Let's go on and win the Scottish Cup. The musical box is here saying hello, as is Neilm709. Paul Donaldson says, embarrassing performance yesterday. The players should be trying to impress the manager to give themselves a chance of playing in the cup final, but hardly any of them get pass marks. Barry Cole says, since McInnes, we have struggled against St Mirren. We should have played Pape and Dante from the start yesterday. If VAR could see the ball hit Nisbet's hand, missed the pull on his arm. Graham Gibbs says, it was very worrying when the momentum swung in St Mirren's favour. We seem to have no plan B. Our substitutions went from bizarre to let's throw all our forwards on with no system to supply them. Alan Nichols says, I can handle a loss, but no shots on target. Neil says, we deserved nothing out of yesterday's game. And sorry, but Yimmy picked the team. It was very strange. Al Hayes says the manager has to take responsibility and not for the first time on dropping points. We knew that St Mirren would be physical, but instead of playing Palvara or Pape, he changed everything. Graham Gibbs says initial lineup was unusual, but substitutions were very erratic, he says. Gray Pilgrim says all will be forgiven when the Scottish Cup trophy is at Pittodrie. Good man, mate. Musical Box says we were very shot shy yesterday again, with nobody wanting to take responsibility and rather set it up for someone else. If you don't shoot, you're not going to score. Ryan is here wishing you all a good evening, as is Kilted Warrior. Richard Wilkinson is here. How are we doing, fella? First third of the season, overperformed. Second third of the season, woefully underperformed. This last third of the season, decidedly bang average. Almost last throws of McInnes era. It's very disappointing, he says. David Wilson says, I've no issues with not beating St Mirren, but to travel down there and not see a single shot on target is inexcusable. I completely agree. The fans deserve better. Way better. If the fans can put in an effort, so can the bloody players. David Scott says, when are we actually going to start shooting at goal? It's shocking. Just have a pop. Jeez, oh. Do you know, my son scored a hat-trick. My 9-year-old son scored a hat-trick on Friday night in his little game, because all I'm doing is screaming at him, son, just shoot. Go on, hit it. Just hit it. It's not rocket science. Football's a simple game. There's a net tied to 4 pieces of wood. 1, 2, 3 pieces of wood. Just hit the bloody thing. Ian Thompson says, not sure of the opposite of total football. Maybe goofball. We played it yesterday. No shots. How is that even possible? Martin Smith says, struggling to understand why Urkel's goal was disallowed. Wasn't intentional handball, and rule is clear if it deflects off a hand by accident and goal is scored, it stands. Well, Martin, as I pointed out earlier, that's not actually the rule, mate, unfortunately. I wish it was, mate. You know, I think this handball rule has got to be looked at, because for me, it's causing far too many issues in the game. It's too a grey an area. It really is. Roddy Keenan is here saying hi. Leighton Bruce said St Mirren deserved it. We were terrible. Or words to that effect. Graham Strachan says the manager has no idea how to change a game just now. It's all very samey, and it's been going on for weeks. Paul Hannon says, think like others, was left so frustrated with the game yesterday. Martin Smith says, knew what St Mirren would bring to the game, so why can't we break down a negative setup? Try shots from outside the box and take your man on. Kirstine is here. Hi Kirstine, how are you? Not what I expected yesterday. Why can we not beat St Mirren away from home? I went down there full of confidence. A very frustrating day, she says. John Grant's wishing you all a good evening. Done again from a set play. We were all over the place, especially up front, and Jensen was a big miss. Don't think Devlin and Shady had much of an understanding of playing together. Gray Pilgrim says, I have lots of opinions on referees, but it's going to get me banned from the channel. Xander Moore says, shocking. We have to win this cup. I don't feel confident we'll win these 2 games coming up. I want to win a few trophies in my lifetime. I feel so sorry for Aberdeen fans who are not of my generation. God, I can't imagine. Graham Gibbs says, worryingly, Robinson thought this team did not play well yesterday. It had 0-0 written all over it. Yet again, we lose a goal to a free kick floated into our box. Martin Smith said team showed no real desire to fight and played it too static and pedestrian. The musical box says it seems to be a mental thing, not shooting but laying it off. It looks like nobody is prepared to take responsibility. You cannot win with nobody wanting to shoot. Graham Strachan says too many of them were nowhere near committed to the game yesterday. Mark Smith says sorry, but Kevin is totally anonymous at the moment. Occasional moments of brilliance are not enough. M says, we just cannot defend against set pieces. Like yesterday's goal, we seem to have at least 4 players around, yet still allow the opposition player to get the goal. It's like what Andrew and I discussed last week after the Hibs game, when we showed you how susceptible we are to set pieces. We're just not learning our lessons, are we? Can't be bothered said, what a terrible performance. Third's gone and not confident for fourth. Musical Box said he played Toppy in the 10 for his pace and control, but he just didn't know what to do. A lot of you are saying we just can't finish below Dundee United, you know. Mark Smith says, not interested in the disallowed goal. We haven't put another shot on target all match. Let's not go down the Sevco route. Yesterday we were terrible. We were poor against Hibs and Hearts. Do you know, Mark, sorry mate, I can't disagree. I can't argue against you. John Moore says, we need an attacking midfield playmaker. Defence still poor at set plays. The level of performance level seems steady, but we should be improving by now, and we're just not. We need more grit, more teeth. Paul came back to say the referee had a poor game, but we can't blame that for losing. We were miles off it yesterday. Colin Gale says, a good, honest review by Mr. Waters. Good, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you. Gareth Hayes says, we were poor, but the goal we didn't get was either a pen for the foul that made Nisbet handball or advantage and a goal. Cameron Young says, poor result yesterday against St Mirren. No determination to get into the game at all. All eyes on Sunday against Rangers. Yumi will need to change the team on Sunday. Eyes on Hibs as well. Andy B says, just watch the Shinnie incident again. Never a free kick for me. Throws himself to the ground. Interesting to hear the opinions of others though. Graham Gibbs says, zonal marking. Teams have worked out stick players best at heading at the back post and let him run to meet the ball. Yesterday, one corner, we had Clarkson matching the run of 3 centre-backs. Why? Okay, so Julie Bruce comes on and makes this point, and I want to talk about this. She says they were probably hungover from Thursday's awards. Laughing out loud, she says. So, let's address that. I personally, this is just a personal opinion, I don't think an award ceremony should take place during the split. I don't think any sort of award ceremony should be held until the close of play. I have no issues with allowing all the teams to have a night out, to have a lot of fun, to just chill out, enjoy their evening. Of course, absolutely, 100%. But not now. Not now. And especially not a couple of days before a big, important game. I'm a bit of a traditionalist when it comes to stuff like that. I want my players at home chilling out. I want them resting up. Now, the players would not have been allowed to have a drink. Absolutely not. So, you know, that argument can go out the window immediately. What I have been told, reliably informed, that most of them were there quite late. Now, again, I don't want to be a humbug. Absolutely not. Players have got lives outside of football. Of course they do. But I'm just questioning the timing of the award ceremony. Now, I also know that players want to get off on holiday as soon as the season is finished to start their recuperation for pre-season because they don't have an awful lot of time. Now, particularly if we get into Conference or Europa League qualifiers, our pre-season is going to begin quite quickly. So, if anything, they're going to be lucky if they get 2 or 3 weeks off. So, I completely understand why the players want to get away as soon as the season is finished. But I just think it's an unwanted distraction. Would it have played any role in us losing yesterday? That's the question that's got to be asked. Having the award ceremony on a Thursday night, 2 days before a game, would it have made any impact on us losing the game? That's the question that has to be asked. Yeah. By the way, just let me quickly tell you that also Ali Beg AB TV is brought to you by Quipco International, a manufacturing and repair service company servicing the oil and gas industries. With their headquarters based in Abu Dhabi, they are perfectly placed to offer a number of services and products to those in the Middle East. May I also gently remind you about this fantastic pre-cup final event at the Music Hall on Thursday, the 22nd of May. The legends return in Brian Irvin, Theo Schnelders, Alex McLeish, and for the first time since their playing days, Hans Heelhuis and Charlie Nicholas will be together again. Tickets are available. What you have to do is go to the Performing Arts website. You have to register on there. And then the organisers have very kindly offered you, ABTV viewers, a discount, a 25% discount. All you have to do is use the code AFC1990. It's going to be an astonishingly good night. I can't wait to get over and host this event. And I really hope to see lots and lots and lots of you there. Right. Charlotte James says, the part I struggle with on the handball rule is the inconsistency on how the rules are applied. Graham Strachan says, I watched the players coming off the team coach yesterday and they were all very quiet. No positivity came through. Ryan Ellington says, totally agree, Ali. I don't mind players enjoying themselves, but focus on the games and a cup final is more important. Partying can be left for later. Roddy Keenan says, totally agree about the awards evening. The Musical Box says, I have always wondered why we do the awards so early. Graham Gibbs says, and it's a good point, it's an interesting point. He says, issue with end of season is players are heading off on holiday, getting married or leaving the club. End of season is not an option. Interesting. Kirstine says, agree, Ali, should be at the end of the season. Gareth Hay also agrees. Just about every team in Scotland disagreed though. They were all at it this week. I have no idea. I don't care about other teams, to be honest. Graham Strachan says, the awards should be at the end of the season. Simple as that. Malcolm Youngson says, looked a better team with Polvara on, much more attacking, always looking to go forward. Only me, or did Mitov look a bit shaky? Would like to see him coming more for corners, crosses. Do you know, it's interesting because during the Red TV commentary, Willie Miller was sort of, he was making this point that he wants Dimitar to come and command particularly his 6-yard box more, but more in general is 18-yard box. And I have to say, I'm not going to disagree with God himself. Right, guys, we are just about done. Just one last gentle reminder. Don't forget to like the show. Thank you for all your comments, as always. And don't forget to subscribe, please. We are only 7 subscribers away from reaching 4,300. Only 7. I'd be absolutely thrilled if you would please jump on the bandwagon. You can see with the VAR review how we're trying to improve the content for you. The review show next season, I'm going to try and make more comprehensive, longer than just half an hour. So yeah, I hope that you can see the little improvements that we're trying to make and trying to make the channel evolve. Because at the end of the day, that's what you guys deserve for your support so far. So thank you as always. Right, so have a good week. When are we going to be back? Right, so the game's on Sunday. Right, so we'll do the preview show on Saturday night, next Saturday, ahead of the Rangers game. I hope that doesn't interrupt your weekend plans too much. So yeah, take good care of yourselves. Thank you for coming on. It's always great to see you. And I'll see you next weekend. Stand free.